Hi everyone, Becky with Becky's Feathered Nest. I was asked by a subscriber to do a quick video on how I plan and how I'm dealing with the virus and the self-quarantine that's going on. I was in North Carolina on vacation when all this started, so I didn't get to plan ahead. Many of you know that I normally keep extra rolls of toilet paper under my bathroom sinks and extra Kleenex in my apothecary and things like that. So it's not too bad. I have, some stock, but not a whole lot. I don't have a lot of space in this home. I also don't want to take more than I need. So right now I am working with what I have, but I do wonder after being in the stores and seeing all the empty shelves. I do have a worry once I do get down to my last roll of toilet paper, what will I do if the stores can't get restocked? So I did start planning for that if that should happen, and thought that this may help those of you who may be on their last roll or completely out of toilet paper. This seems to be the biggest panic right now. So I'm going to kind of show you the things that I have come up with that I will fall back on should that happen to me. One of the things that I noticed all the shelves being empty were the bottled water shelves and section. I don't quite understand the panic of not having bottled water because our sinks, the water in our homes is perfectly fine for drinking and cooking. So I don't really understand this panic, but if I can help you keep from panicking, for those of you, I know it's real because all the shelves are empty. So I know some of you have a panic over that, but try to remember that your water from your sinks is perfectly fine for drinking and watering. Cooking. So try not to panic if you can't get your bottled water. And as far as toilet paper, I kind of understand that. This is a big convenience and something hard to do without nowadays. But believe it or not, we haven't always had toilet paper. I happen to have a fascination, I guess, or interest in the 16, 17, and 1800s, early 1800s. I love the homes. I love castles. So I've kind of been my own self-study for many years now on those time periods. So I do know that they haven't always had rolls of toilet paper. In fact, it was not patented until 1891. So I tried to remember what did they do before toilet paper was invented. And what they used to do is use rags. And this kind of reminded me of the same situation as, or same scenario as cloth diapers. If any of you are old enough to remember having to use cloth diapers on your babies, it's a very similar concept. They used to use rags in place of today's toilet paper. So, not that I would want to, but if I have to, I will resort back to what we used to do before the invention of toilet paper. Before toilet paper, they used newspapers, magazines. I think a lot of you kind of know that one, but before that, I really don't have newspapers. I don't have magazines, things like that anymore, catalogs. So I would have to go even farther back. So I'm talking 16, 1700s here of using the cloth. So these are old flour sack cloths that I cut into strips and squares of cloth. Now, one thing, and even if you had magazines and stuff, it's a little rough. And it also will clog your toilets. The same with these. You do not want to flush these in a toilet. So if you're in a good situation where you have some rolls of toilet paper and want to resort to this in the end, if you can't get your stores restocked and run out of toilet paper, I hear you can't even order it on Amazon. So if you get in the position where you just have no toilet paper, don't want to use magazines, newspapers, that sort of thing, and resort to this, just remember you're going to use the same process as cloth diapers back in the day. So what I've done is just cut them up, put them in this little laundry soap pod bucket. You'll want a bucket that we used to call a diaper pail, and you'll fill it with water and some sort of disinfectant if you have it. I know that's hard to get as well. If you have some bleach, OxyClean, something like that will work. So you'll fill it, put some of that in there to help with the disinfection. Um, if you have some rolls of toilet paper, you may want to save those rolls just for the really messy work, and you know what I mean by that. So maybe you'll want to use the paper for that, and then this for the less messy work. You also may want to save that paper for any teenagers or young children, because you don't want them to accidentally flush these down the toilet either, or be with your you may have to be with your younger children. Make sure they don't get flushed down the toilet, and clog, have a plumbing problem. Do not flush these. But if you have to resort to this, that's an option. You're going to use them. Back in the day when we had diapers, you used to have to rinse them in the toilet, and then you'd put them in that disinfecting bucket. Then you'd have to squeeze those out and put them into the laundry after they sat in the bucket for a while, and you had enough to make a load to wash. That's just an option, one I would hate to have to use, but it's there. You don't have to panic about not having toilet paper. There is another option. If you do use this and you're lucky enough to have rubber gloves, please use those. If not, please wash your hands really well after this process. Also, Kleenex. We didn't always have Kleenex before Kleenex came along. I know 1940s. I know they were around probably the 30s. I don't have a date on Kleenex, but we used to use cloth hankies, men's hankies. So I have had some of these, and I just put them in a Kleenex box. That's what I have them stored in. You're going to want to do the same thing. Have a place to put them, whether it's your dirty clothes hamper or a separate bucket, to wash and bleach these as well. And then as far as non-perishable foods, all that seems to be wiped out as well. If you can conserve on these, if you can conserve on any of these, please do. There's a lot of hoarding going on right now. Please remember, other people need some of the minimal supplies. Try to remember the elderly and that sort of situation. Please try not to hoard. I know it's a natural thing to want to provide and protect your own family, but please try to remember your other friends and family out there that also need supplies. So anyway, if you can conserve on the canned and non-perishable foods, for instance, replace some of the cans or not get as many and use the fresh fruits and vegetables, because I have noticed there's plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. So when you can use that, use those, and then fall back on your canned fruits and vegetables if possible, so that it will leave other food sources out for some of the elderly and those who need it. These kind of items, they're paper, but I've noticed that a lot of the paper seems like paper goods and non-perishable foods are the things that just cannot keep restocked. So if you can conserve on these, but these are some things that I feel should always be conserved on anyway, for landfill purposes and just stuff like that. So if you can conserve on your paper napkins and use cloth napkins, please remember to do that. Instead of paper towels, please use your hand and dish towels for drying your hands and dishes. Maybe some old cloths and rags for maybe cleaning up real dirty spills off the floor or something like that, in place of paper towels. Paper plates, paper straws, and paper cups or disposable. If you can refrain from buying so much of this, and use your washable plates, straws, and cups. This is a silicone straw. I used to use the metal ones until I heard some of the horror stories from them, mainly relating to falls that they had with the metal straws. So I quit using those and used the silicone straws. Also, your plastic baggies. If you can use the washable food storage containers to help out. And I put this here to remind me, thieves. If this is just my little tiny purse one, if you can use your thieves oils, and there are some knockoff recipes if you don't have the real thieves. It was good enough during the Black Plague. So this is kind of a good little reminder to use your thieves. Um, Underneath your nose, if you have to go out in public, would be most helpful. Um, that sort of thing. I don't know if you know the story about thieves and how the grave robbers from the bubonic plague survived that because they were using this combination of oils. Anyway, interesting story. You can probably Google it, but it seems to help. I've used it around colds and other things that it has kept me from getting. So you might be interested in looking up thieves and the history of thieves and that sort of thing. Anyway, these are some of the things that I just wanted to show you that you don't have to panic over. I'm not in a panic over any of these items. I know that there is a backup if I absolutely have to, if stores can't seem to get restocked. Also, for in relating to the self quarantine, when I got back from North Carolina, I started spring cleaning and doing little projects around the house that I wanted to get accomplished, spending time with my husband. We've caught up on some movies we wanted to see, playing board games, just doing things together here at home. He's working out of the house right now, so that is, good, and we're all healthy here. And I've made phone calls to other family members and checked up on them, and just be a help to neighbors and friends if possible, and try not to do the hoarding that seems to be going on, and just be a good neighbor, godly love attitude here, because this too shall pass, my friends. And I pray that all of you will be safe and healthy as well. Bye now. Have a blessed day.